Good evening and welcome to the Posthumous Poetry Series, Part 34. Um, Monday we have a full moon, and then also today Mercury went direct after being retrograde for the past 3 weeks. Uranus went retrograde on Friday and will be there till December. I like all these astrological things. I was always fascinated by the Magi story too, how the Magi, magicians, looked at the stars, could tell when Jesus was going to be born. That was always one of the cool parts of the Christmas story. And for those of you who didn't tune in last week, and you should be kicked in the ass because the poem was great and you missed out, I thought I'd take kind of like a summer school approach to the series and read some of the shorter poems. Um, as I said last week, short, long means nothing in poetry, you know. And it's all bullshit when we come down to it. So this poem's called Self-Portrait at the Lumiere Factory, and the Lumiere Factory was owned by the Lumiere brothers. And the Lumiere brothers are known for two things. One, they are credited with creating the first light bulb, and they had a factory in France called the Lumiere Factory, where they manufactured light bulbs. And then the other thing was that, they made the first movie. It was created by the Lumiere brothers. It was called Closing Time at the Lumiere Factory, and it was a movie of the factory closing, down for the day. They saw no value in the movies, so they didn't really go beyond that. I know Edison takes credit for that. Edison takes credit for a lot of things, and doesn't take credit for things he should have maybe. But yes, the Lumiere Factory. They made light bulbs. They made lights, and the self-portrait that I'm referring to in the title is the Van Gogh portrait, of the self-portrait in blue. And the self-portrait in blue was painted the day after he painted Starry Night. And just think, if you've ever had the opportunity to truly experience a starry night, I thought, what was his head like after he did that? After you have a creative experience, it's always just a wonderful rush, and that's why we like to do it. It's one of the best rushes in the world. And what was happening with Vinnie Van when he painted Starry Night? When he put it down, he saw it finally. It's like, what the fuck did he say? What could you possibly say about the Starry Night? And that you created it. Oh my God. His head must have, in my mind, his head must have still been swimming in blue and stars and all kinds of stuff like that. So when he gets to the blue portrait next day, when he gets to the portrait next day, he paints it blue. Of course he had to paint it blue. His mind was still a palette of blues. As much as I just expressed my love for Starry Night, the other side of that coin would be the story of Dr. Ray's mom. Dr. Ray, of course, the wonderful painting of Dr. Ray by Van Gogh. Dr. Ray's mom hated the painting, and when you went to Dr. Ray's mom's place, it was discovered that she was using the portrait of Dr. Ray to fix a hole in her chicken coop. you know. So we can't feel real bad as artists because, shit like that happens. And then on the other hand, of artists and that kind of experience of the artist world, I'm including the lunch between Mia Farrow and Salvador Dali. When I read about that, I thought, well, that moment has to be captured forever. And so the poem is called Self-Portrait at the Lumiere Factory. Everything, a suspiration of blue. Visiting Dr. Ray's mother, his portrait of her son, patching a hole in a chicken coop. Warehouse prices for vicodin. Teenage Mia Farrow lunching with Dali on the cart, butterfly wings on crackers. Attar of wind. A discussion of gussets, trombones, geants. 100